that maybe it's not really so true. Because it's good to hear different points of view. There's a Russian proverb that goes, an enemy will agree, but a friend will disagree. So because your enemy doesn't want you to get better, so your friend will say everything, your enemy will say everything you do is great, but your friend wants you to get better. So your friend will point out things maybe not quite right in what you said. So please be my friends.
I would say that rearing livestock for food is beneficial, but not necessarily eating meat in and of itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people say, well, there's some land that you can't really grow food on. Let's say some kind of mountain slope or something. So you can graze animals there. But could you expand on what you were saying about how could it be?
So if you're not farming it for livestock, I mean, just give the most extreme example. Some people advocate roadkill. As the,
Right. Okay. Yeah. But you
that's
can get.
a hypothetical example, right? Roadkill.
Right.
As the most
Yeah.
biological friendly form of meat because it's already dead anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in Australian context, there will be advocates who say if kangaroos are overpopulated, right? It's
Mhm.
ecologically friendlier to eat kangaroos rather than introduce a foreign animal like a cow or cattle in Australia.
Yeah. Or some people say, well, we should eat insects.
Yeah.
Or rats. We have a lot of rats in Singapore. A lot of
pests.
cockroaches,
Yeah.
pests.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're
Eat
not
as control.
spending any. Yeah. Wow, there's some very nice, big, juicy rats running around here. So that could make quite a nice meal. So maybe, yeah, what Han Chong is saying makes sense. That there might be some exceptions. I haven't tried it, but if anybody wants to try, please be my guest. Okay, so that was the first main way that changing our diet, how our food relates to climate change and biodiversity. A second one is global warming, climate change. What I always thought for a long time is it's all about CO2. It's all about cars and planes and factories. That is the main bad guy for climate change. But actually, there are two greenhouse gases that are even more powerful than CO2. Not more plentiful. CO2 is still the number one bad guy, but there are at least two other big bad guys: methane and nitrous oxide. And these gases are produced in many ways, but one of the big ways is in the digestion and excretion of the animals whom we eat. And then of course CO2 and food also go together, because when we cut down the trees, obviously no more trees to soak up the CO2. And another thing about this methane and nitrous oxide is that their half-life is shorter than the half-life of CO2. I think CO2 stays around for about 100 years, but these other two gases stay around for less. So if we can change our diets, then we can have a quicker impact on climate change. So I think it was 2006, the UN Commission on Climate Change came up with this figure that 18% of the greenhouse gas emissions from human activities relate to livestock, the animals whom we eat, growing them and growing the food for them. So this is where we get the slogan, less meat equals less heat, because what's happening to the polar bears? No more habitat, so they have to paint themselves to look like pandas so they can live in the zoo in Singapore, etc. And I don't think anyone is here with their grandparents, but maybe you can talk to them this weekend, ask them, do they, or do you eat as much meat as they ate when they were your age? What do you think? I mean, maybe now they eat more meat, but back 40 years ago or whatever, yeah, I think people didn't eat so much meat. And so maybe we can get by very well with less meat.
I'm just thinking, I know what my mom would say.
Okay,
She would say that in the past they don't have enough money.
that's right.
So now they do have the money, so they would compensate themselves with, something that they were deprived in the past.
Right. Yeah. I think this is what's happening, like in places like China and India. People they couldn't afford meat. They were involuntary vegetarians. But now they can afford it. So now they think meat is the good stuff. I want to have my meat.
Well, also because today we have the industrial production of meat. Yeah, it's not feeding livestock in small farms. It's really industrial production. It's terrible cheap. Yeah. So I think it's both.
Yeah.
So
What he's talking about, they also call it factory farming. So they can, like we saw the picture of all the chickens, so they can be 10,000 chickens in one building, and the average chicken lives only 6 weeks before being slaughtered. So in 1 year, they can get a lot of 10,000 chickens from birth to the supermarket. So that's another reason why. I mean, actually, my grandfather was an egg farmer. He raised chickens. So yeah, and so I would talk to him. And my uncle, his son, just passed away, so I used to ask him about what it was like, and it was very, very different than the lives of chickens today. So we'll come back to your mother's point. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm happy to send you the slides. I'm happy to discuss. I teach not so far from here at James Cook University. There's Singapore campus, so you can contact me here. And if you want to know more about Veggie Thursday, there's a website. There's Facebook, and I like teaching and learning from people, so you can contact me by email. Before I open it up for discussion, I want to show one more video. This one comes from Hong Kong. It's not linked to Green Monday. This is before Green Monday came along. It's got a very nice song and a nice message. It's a little bit old, you can see. 6.7 billion people.
This is the world's inconvenient truth.
One vegetarian in an SUV is more eco-friendly
than a meat eater on a bicycle. Save the human.
38% of the world's grain is fed to animals. Save the human. 1.1 billion people in the world do not have access to clean water.
While 20,000 liters is used for just 1 pound of beef. Save the human.
Change your diet.
Don't change the climate.
Change your diet. Save the human. destruction is the
Number one cause of pollution. Save the human.
60 billion animals.
60 billion livestock.
60 billion animals are produced for human consumption annually.
Where's the food coming from? At what ecological expense?
Many species of fish, especially sharks, are almost fish extinction.
What are you doing personally?
What are you personally doing to change the world?
Livestock industry is the most wasteful recycling program ever conceived.
If you eat meat and fish, you significantly contribute to pollution and global warming.
What are you personally doing?
What are you personally doing to change the world?
Simply by giving up meat, poultry, seafood, fish, make a massive contribution to our environment.
What are you personally doing to change the world?
What are you personally doing to change the world? Save the human.
Save the human. Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human. Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human. Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human.
Save the human. Save the human.
Save the human. Save the human.
Save the human.
The entire population, human population of planet Earth today, is 6.7 billion. Yet, we keep 60 billion livestock animals alive. At what expense? At what expense to our children? At what expense to the ecology? At what expense to humanity? Simply by giving up meat. Simply by reducing the amount of meat and dairy we consume. Humans today have the choice on reducing our carbon footprint immediately. Save the human. Go veggie.
Save the human. Save the human.
Okay, so as Veggie Thursday is saying, you don't have to all of a sudden go 100% vegetarian. You can just try one day a week. And as the first video showed, it's like if everyone in Britain went vegetarian just one day a week, it's like taking so many cars off the road in terms of the effect on the environment. So that's the thing I really like about this, because what am I going to do for biodiversity? What am I going to do to help slow climate change? Well, every time I sit down to eat, I can make a difference. When I eat plant foods instead of animal foods, I'm making a difference. So I feel proud of myself. I feel empowered that I'm actually doing something every day. Thank you very much. Let's have the session.